Hello again, traders, and welcome back to the Hot Stocks Outlook for August 8th, 2025. I hope you all have had an excellent week out there in the financial markets. And as always, we're here to take a look at the most recent VantagePoint AI predicted forecast. So if you haven't already, be sure to go ahead and click the link down in the description below, and you can get signed up for a live demonstration so you can learn all the specifics about how these predictive indicators and technologies are helping traders make much better trading decisions out in the marketplace. Now, we'll go ahead and start out with a couple of tech stocks, but a pretty interesting market. We got a lot of sort of mixed signals when we look across the indices and look broadly at equity prices, but tech stocks has held up fairly well. And so when we look at here, American Semiconductor is a really good example of how all of these indicators work together and really produce and round out the forecast that's provided for VantagePoint users. And so what we have here is daily bars and candles. So each one of the candles on the chart there, well, that will represent a full and complete trading day. And the first indicator that we're going to take a look at is really displayed through this black and blue line values that you see on the chart there. And so what VantagePoint traders are able to do is actually compare this black moving average, which this is actually a very simple moving average. It's a 10-period simple moving average. And what we would really put in the category of traditional technical analysis, in that it only looks at one market in isolation, and it only just looks at past prices. So it does a good job summarizing what's already occurred and smoothing out the price action, but it has no predictive capability. And so that really acts as VantagePoint users' baseline to let us know where market prices have been. But obviously traders want to know where are prices headed next. And so what we're able to do is compare that lagging moving average, or that simple moving average, to the VantagePoint proprietary predicted moving average, highlighted by this blue line value. And so whenever that blue line, in this case we see, moves above the black line, well, it's suggesting that average prices are expected to go higher, and we might therefore want to take a long position. Now, what's interesting about this is the technology that goes into generating these values for traders and really offering a very early signal as far as trend change goes. So whenever we see that blue line cross above the black line, what's happening is VantagePoint's artificial neural networks are doing what we would call intermarket analysis, meaning they're using the data from other markets. Now, this could be things like other ETF groups within the tech space. This could be a bunch of individual stocks, but it really takes this global approach, really looking at things like currency values, interest rates, and even major commodities like gold, silver, wheat, where applicable to that specific market that you're trading. And so you get about a dozen of these intermarket relationships, some of these things leading, lagging relationships, some of the positive or inverse correlations. And then it uses that data to generate highly accurate predictions of where these values are likely to move. And so rather than having that rearward looking tool that's just reconfiguring what's already occurred, we have predictive capability here with these predictive indicators. And so whenever we see that blue line cross above the black line, again, we'd expect the market to start going higher, and traders can look to take a long position. Now, if you're a swing trader or day trader, it's really all the same thing. You can use the output from these forecasts to really make assessment of, okay, well, how can I execute my strategy here? Should we be on the bullish or bearish side? And here in American Semiconductor, you see about a 70% rally here in just the past 33 trading days. And again, a lot of opportunities throughout the tech space that are performing quite well. But let's take a look at some of these other supplemental indicators that really round out the entirety of these predictive forecasts and can, again, help traders really combine their trading strategy with the output and getting the benefit of these predictive tools. And so if you look at the very bottom of the chart here, you see this bar that is going from green to red and back to green. And this is what's called the VantagePoint Predicted Neural Index. And this gets updated every single trading day. But what it's doing is forecasting short-term strength or weakness over the next 48-hour period. So you can think of it as really just a couple of candles, very short-term, in the context of potentially a directional bias or bullish trend that you might be looking to exploit. So you'll notice that whenever we see that neural index go bearish, we often get a little sideways or consolidation in the market. The uptrend sort of runs flat for a little bit. But as that neural index gets bullish, we see that momentum really kick back into the market. You do always want to be a little careful about earning reports, where the software isn't going to know that an earnings report's coming up. That's where the trader needs to, really help guide what's going on here. But we see really excellent entries early on in this trend, long before you get towards that earnings report. And that's always great. It's getting a nice entry into the market, having plenty of cushion so you can take on that volatility and really benefit as shares advance, responding from some of that fundamental data. And so lastly, we're actually provided this predicted high and predicted low. So this is actually getting now to intraday price action, right? The predicted high and predicted low for the next trading day. And this really rounds out the forecast and helps traders know, hey, where's really premium entry price on the low end? For day traders, maybe where do I want to profit, on a profit target as far as using the predicted high on exploiting some of that strength in the market. And as we do each week, we take a look at all of these predictions relative to the actual market data. And so you see here, as the trend gets started, really moving quickly up towards those predicted highs. You see how the market responds intraday at these levels, often some very advantageous levels to take action here. And things like this are a great example, right? All the price action is up here. Well, you want to wait, be patient. And that's really where that premium entry is before we get that advance in shares. You see numerous entries here as the market just does its thing day to day. And this is where VantagePoint traders have an edge, right? We've got these tools updating every single trading day, making these adjustments based on those intermarket relationships found within the data here. And so again, even after earnings, we get that big move. Software does a great job of just getting back online, looking at the close prices here, but also, again, those intermarkets and helping round out those forecasts for traders. So really nice opportunity there in American Semiconductor. Here's shares of Palantir, obviously a very popular stock, very strong prediction here as far as the blue line crossing above the black line. We get these little consolidation phases where the market sort of pulls back for a little bit here, a little bit of noise going into earnings, but overall, very strong trend when we look broadly across, all the potential options. Palantir in a very strong uptrend here, about a 30% rally now just in the past 22 trading days. So really exciting stuff there. Even 100 shares have you about $4,000, 500 shares, about $21,000 move. So really exciting opportunity. And whether you trade the shares or whether you trade options, it's really all the same thing of understanding, okay, well, where are prices likely to start moving higher? You can look down that options chain, really find some opportunities there if that's where you like to trade. Next, we have Applovin here. And this is a really great example, again, of how the predicted moving average does a great job of maintaining whether the overall trend is bullish or bearish. We see here it's very clearly above that black line, doesn't really even get close to crossing to the bearish side. But notice that after the neural index was bullish and the trend started moving higher, you get this move that says, hey, expect some weakness over the next couple of trading days, but you're actually getting more and more separation between these values, and that predicted moving average actually slanting up through this time period. And again, indicating that, look, the overall trend is up. There may be some volatility here, but don't get too excited here as far as your positioning goes. And again, we can use those VantagePoint predicted levels. And so even after this trading day, it's saying, all right, we'll expect the market to trade down towards these levels. Sure enough, excellent entries. And the market continues on here. So just numerous opportunities where we're clanking up against these predicted lows, little volatility here, but notice very next trading day, moving up towards the predicted high. So pretty much within a 48 hours or a couple of trading days, typically going to see that move play out as far as your analysis goes with the software. You see a lot of just jumpiness around this time period here. You gap out, you gap down, it's just sort of filling these overall predicted ranges. But clearly that neural index and that predicted moving average here, very, very bullish going into earnings and then getting that catalyst strong move higher. Now, I just wanted to bring in some of the conflict that we're seeing in markets. And this is where traders, you want to know when to be aggressive and identify some strong opportunities, but also want to maybe pump the brakes, maybe balance the portfolio out. And this is where VantagePoint's predictive indicators are really helpful because last week we looked at IWM, really highlighting that, yeah, the tech space is strong. There's some opportunities there, but in these smaller cap stocks, we do see a lot of these markets in downtrends. So here in IWM, the ETF that models these smaller cap stocks, here you see this blue line crossing below the black line, and it really opened up an excellent opportunity to potentially short or hedge some of your long positions from the predicted high. So we had a value of about 224 up here. And you see we get just a lot of noise, especially in downtrends here as you're filling this gap here going into the beginning of the week. But notice here how we're moving up towards these predicted highs, moving a little bit lower. and our predicted moving average actually still bearish here. So again, just highlighting broadly that not all stocks are, hitting new highs like the tech space, and we want to be a little bit careful, especially if we're picking stocks and trying to identify select markets where we think there's some opportunity. Good example here. Here's shares of CarMax. Clearly here, blue line crossing below the black line. Neural index very bearish here. You get this little spat in here where we sort of run sideways, the market consolidates, but very clearly that blue line predicted moving average well below the actual moving average. And of course, you want to get really nice entries early on in a trend. So again, here we see this market starts to move lower, some really nice opportunities to short up at these predicted levels. Sometimes you get these days where you move that previous predicted high level, but very clearly here, an area where you do not want to be long, short, take profits on shorts, potentially balance out some of the portfolio where, again, across the tech space, really phenomenal opportunities. But again, some of these smaller cap stocks showing some difficulty. And so, you get these periods where even a small number of stocks and focus in the market can keep driving up the indices and keep things elevated. But that doesn't mean that every stock out there is potentially a great opportunity and running up against new highs. So we'll go ahead and leave it there for today. But once again, this has been the Hot Stocks Outlook for August 8th, 2025. Thank you all for watching. Best of luck out there, and bye for now.